In this video, we're going to explore a little further the cross-block data manipulator field. What we're going to do is utilize every single feature in it. We have a lot of it covered in the previous video, but this is just to see the remaining options and a few more conditions, maybe some multiple conditions. We're also going to introduce a few more features related to counting and numbers and getting totals, and a few rules as well that will allow us to determine whether we should be doing something or not in the system. So there'll be a nice bit of exposure to everything related to what would be required to build an inventory system. So we'll have a look, just to recap on where we were at. We had made a block called add to stock, and we had a block called live stock list. I'm going to add a new field to the live stock list called location. And I'll just move that up one. And what I will do is I will delete all of these. Well, no, what I'll do is I'll edit them and we'll give them a location, location 1. Location 2. Location 3. And location 4. And we'll just add one more of the same part number and we'll just give it another location. So we'll say part 004, location 5, and we have 20. And the reason for that is that we're going to be introducing rules in another block to get the totals of various parts, even if they're in different locations. Okay, so that was our add to stock block, which is in the previous video, but I'm going to do a new block using the cross-block data manipulator. And we'll call this move stock. And this is going to be a more advanced version of what we had done here. So we will do the full layout. And firstly, we're going to put in an element. We'll put in a field called part number. And we'll put in location. And I'm going to create a plain data field called total. Plain data. We'll just say total overall. And total in this location. I'll make that a plain data field as well. So next thing we're going to do is we are going to create a functionality where we can subtract from the stock and add it to another location. So I'm just going to say new location. And quantity to move. So what we're doing here is we're moving stock basically. And this is where our cross block comes into it. So first we need to create an add stock one. Select the block is live stock list. What are we doing? We are adding to numeric value in a record. Choose when the action happens. This time we're going to use a button click instead of the previous one, which was a form submission. Choose the text on the button. We'll say, actually, sorry, we need to use the form submission because we're going to have 2 or 3 of them running at the same time. We're going to be adding stock and subtracting stock. Choose what data you'd like to affect. The first entry. Again, this is if we need to pick either the first or most recent entry, which will often just be the same record. All data would do every entry, which would be incorrect if we're looking to update stock in a single record. And we'll add a record if it doesn't exist. So now we're going to say, what are we checking against? The part number and item name, which is in the live stock list. And we're going to pick location as well. So this time we're doing a search of 2 things before we decide what we're going to update. And then the value we're looking to add, select local remote field for updating, quantity to move, and that's going to be quantity. And then if we're creating a new record, what are the things that we are generating? That's incorrect. We're doing the new location. And that goes to location. And quantity to move is quantity. And we'd submit this. So now at the moment what would happen is it would just take away, or sorry, it would add the stock as per you've seen in the previous video. So now I'm going to do another one. I'm going to duplicate this and it's going to be remove stock. So this time we're saying subtract from a numeric value in a record. When the form submits, the first entry, I'll just delete these for cleanliness, but select the local and remote fields. We're looking for location. And we are looking for the part number that has to match with item name. What are we updating? So we're subtracting the quantity basically using quantity to move. Now we already added that, so I'll just leave that for now. And this doesn't actually apply now because we're not adding a new record. I need to untick that. We'll just leave these for now, but we'll come back to them in a few minutes. So I just want to go over these again just to make sure. So we're looking up, this is the add one again. We're looking up part number and location. And this is actually incorrect because this is the add one. We're adding it to the new location. I had a feeling there was something wrong there. So what we're saying here is the new location in this block will determine what location the quantity gets added to. So let's test this out. And we go to our live stock list. So now let's say we're going to move some of part 3 to part 2. Sorry, some of part 3 in location 2 to location. We'll do a new location actually firstly. So part 003 and the location we're looking for. This is what we're moving from is location 2. This is information that we haven't filled out yet. We'll come back to this. The new location we're going to say is location 6. And how much are we moving? So how many have we in there? We have 26. Let's say we're going to move 16. What this will do is this will create a location 6 with part 003, and it'll add 16 to that, and it'll take 16 from location 2. So now when I refresh, we should have location 6 with 16, and location 2 should only have 10. So there we are, location 6, yeah, 16, and location 2 only has 10. So that's a stock move. So let's get a bit fancier. I'm going to introduce you to one of our very popular rules, which is our getting totals from another block, or you can even do the same block. So when we have the part number and the location put in, we're going to have a rule. And that is populate another field, local field, with total from elsewhere. So in this case, we're looking to get the total from the live stock list. The total required field is the quantity. So we're looking for a total of quantity in the live stock list. The local field we're going to populate is total in this location. And then what we're calculating the total of the numeric quantity. So let's just say we want to get the total of part number 3 in location 6. That's going to give us 16. But I'm going to, just for experiment's sake, part 03, location 6, and I'll just do another 7. Now this is a duplicate kind of entry. Generally in a stock system you wouldn't really have this, they'd just be put together. But anyway, this is just to show you the totaling working. So now this part is where we decide what are we using to search to get the total. We're using the part number, so that must match item name, which is the name of the field in this block. And we're using the location. And we're triggering that rule on the location field, but that can be triggered from anywhere. So now let's go back to the front end. And we'll say part 003 and location 6. I'm going to hit return and we can see 23. Now let's get the total overall. So I'm going to add another rule to the same field. In fact, no, I don't have to add it to this. I'm going to add it to the part number because we're going to get the total overall. We don't care about the location. I can still add the rule to the location, by the way. So where you add the rule doesn't necessarily determine what's being searched or not searched. So populate another field with total from elsewhere. Live stock list, total required is the quantity. Local field to populate is total overall. And what are we using to search? This time it's just the part number. We're not going to also search the location. So now let's go back and we're going to say part 003 and our total overall is 33. So that's 7 plus 16 plus 10. And now we'll do location 6. And that's our 23 here. Or we could say location 2. And that's 10. And let's just do another one, location 9. And that's 0. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a rule on total in this location that it can't be equal 0. And the reason behind that is that will allow us to say, well, you shouldn't be moving stuff if you don't have it in that location. So total in this location, cannot be equal to, and just put in 0. And now a custom rule response could be you cannot move a part that has 0 quantity. So let's go back again. Part 003 and location 10. And now we can see you cannot move a part that has 0 quantity. So we're just not allowed to do it. Whereas if I put back in a location we have, no, we don't have location 3, sorry. Let's say location 6. And we're okay again to continue. The next part I want to show you is a basic maths field. So it's possible to calculate the difference between certain values. For instance, here we could say, well, what's the total in location and what's total outside of this location? And I'm going to say add a field, and we have a field called maths. I will say we'll just call it total outside of this location. And here is where you can write your equation. And this is the format. So you use the field, this is called a field slug, which we'll talk about in a future video. A field slug is like an official representation of that field. And you can also get your fields here. So we're going to say total overall minus total in this location. That space is okay there. We're just writing an equation and the code will know how to calculate this. I'm going to press submit and I'll go back to the front end. 003, location 6. So now we have total in this location 23, total overall is 33, so now it knows to calculate 10. So now let's put in another maths field and another rule to stop someone from moving more than what is available. So currently, I'll show you the problem first. We'll put in part 3 and we'll put in location 6. And then we'll say, okay, we've 25 in that, or 23 in that location. Not a great example because we have 2 records there. So I'm just going to go to location 2. We have 10 in that location. So let's just say we're going to move to location 7, a new location. And let's just say we're trying to move 15. Currently this is going to work and it's going to give us a record of -5 for location 7. So I'll just submit this and I'll show you what I mean. So now when I refresh and we see location 2, and now that is -5 and location. In real life, that shouldn't be possible. I guess there's reasons why some people might want that, but let's just say, well, we don't want that. So what I'll do is I will first manually fix this record. I'll put this back to 10 and I'll delete this one. So we're just back to the way we started. I'm going to apply a new math field, which is going to compare total in that location with the quantity we're looking to move. And I'm going to add a rule to disallow this to be below 0. So here's our math field. Difference between availability and amount to move. It's a bit of a long field name, but look, sometimes we'll be hiding these as well. We'll get onto that now in a minute. So now we're saying quantity to move minus total in this location. And I'll just move this up here. Now, let's start again. I'm going to put in part 003 and location 2. And we have our 10 again after me fixing it. And now I'll just say location 7, and I'll put in quantity to move 5 and hit return. And we have difference between the two is -5. So I've done the maths field wrong. I should have really done total in this location minus the quantity to move, because we want that positive amount remaining. So part 003, location 2, that's our 10. Our new location is location 7, I believe. And we'll say we want to move 5, and the difference is 5. At the moment, as you saw, if we put in more, it's going to allow us to continue regardless of this figure. And this is where we can put in another rule. So we're going to say that the difference between the availability and the amount we're looking to move can't be below 0. So I'm going to press rules, and we're going to say must be between two values. Can it be equal to value or not? We'll say it can. So it must be greater than 0 and must be less than, well, to be honest, this can be as high a number as we want. There's no upper limit. We'll come back to this in a minute. The rule is checked on its own. Or sorry, we'll come back to it later in videos. It's just basically that sometimes it's possible to do multiple rules, and sometimes you want an independent check. And we're going to just introduce you to something new in the rules, which is the different types of responses. So I've been using red warning reject, which clears the data and forces you to fix the problem, whereas a yellow warning accept actually allows you to continue. So let's just say in this case, well, look, we might want to continue. So it's more like a warning. And we'll just say the customer warning, you are about to move more than the quantity you have available in that location. So let's go back to the front end now. I will just say part 003, location 2, we have 10. We'll say our new location is location 7, and we'll say the amount we're looking to move is 20. And there we can see our yellow warning that appears. So next thing we're going to do is this then changes to confirm submit, which is basically it allows you to continue on the process, so it doesn't just say submit anymore. And as we can see, it carried out the move based on the instructions we provided it. So we're just going to do one final trick. Let's just do a new block, and we're going to move everything to one location. So it'll just require a few more cross block. Move all to one location. And we'll say, we'll put in the part number. And location to move to. I would say quantity. So I'm going to approach this a little. There's actually different ways of doing stuff in Blocworx. So I'm going to actually use our deletion feature for cross block. So first I'm going to say delete records. Select the data we're looking to do, or manipulate. We're looking to delete the record. Choose when the action happens. This time we will use the button click. just so we can see it in action. And we'll say delete records first. And we're going to choose all data. So we're deleting all the records with the part number. So what field are we looking up to decide what to delete? We're looking up the part number, and in this case it's item name in this block. And now we'll do another one. Actually, first we're going to get the total of that part number. So as per the previous video with the rule, total, this time I'll just make it a normal field. And when we put in the part number, populate another local field with total from elsewhere, live stock list. Total required is the quantity, and the local field to populate is total. Calculate total of numeric. We'll give you another example in the future where you calculate the number of values. So total numeric counts up, in this case, let's say with part 3, it would count up 16 plus 7 plus 20 minus 10 in this example. If it was count number of values, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, which that is very handy as well for being able to search how many records you have and stuff like that. And what are the fields we're using to search? It's our part number. So add matching pair and press submit. And now finally, I'll move this up just for a bit of consistency. So total location to move to, quantity. We may not need this now actually, because really it's the total that we would be moving. So I'm going to delete this field. And now we're going to create another cross block which would create a record with that total and part number. Create new record. Add new record. Choose when the action happens. We'll say on a button click as well. Create new record. So now we just need to figure out what fields we're using to create the new record. Location to move to is location, and the quantity is total, and that's going to be quantity in this field, this block. Let's remove that. So we'll do the first step first. Let's say part number 3, and we have 33. Location to move to, we'll say, is location 8. Okay. Delete records first. So now first let's delete the records. Remember, it's looking up part 003. So when I click this, it gives me the update 4 entries deleted in livestock. So it's after deleting this, 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 and this. Let's refresh just to make sure. And they're gone. And now create new record. And let's refresh. And now we have our new location with the part. Now I did that with 2 different clicks using the buttons. But as you're aware, you can trigger the cross block either with a button or when you submit the form. So I'm going to say when the form submits for both of them. So we'll do one more. So I'm going to just add, just so we have two of them. Location 9. No, I mixed up the two fields. That should be location 9. And that should be quantity. So let's do this again. Part 003, hit return. We have 43, so that's 10 and location we're going to move to is location 10. And now we don't have to press any separate buttons. We just press submit and refresh here. And we have 43 in location 10 and the other two records are gone. And that's it for the cross-block data manipulator. The next field we're going to show you in our next video is our results box, which allows you to physically see what's going on in a different block without having to change tabs and screens. Thank you. Bye bye.